Good evening, everyone. My name is Bruna Menezes, this is Michelle Emeiro, this is Job Curit, and today we're going to talk about a national energy plan. So for our agenda for today, we're going to talk about the need to reduce our dependency in fossil fuels. Then we're going to give two alternatives. Then we're going to talk about industrial implementation, cost effectiveness, and practicalities, and finally conclusion. So first I'm going to talk about oil consumption. United States is the largest consumer in oil in the whole world. The consumption is so large that United States consumes up to 30% more than the second largest, which is Canada. One of the needs to reduce this consumption is because first, oil is a fossil fuel which is non-renewable. The second one is because 50% of the oil that we consume, we have to import from other countries, and those countries usually are not stable. Their government is not very stable. So sometimes we have to have needs to use the military to facilitate this trade. And so this is one of the problems for our national security. The final problem is because oil causes a lot of pollution. With the use of oil in transportation, for example, we have a lot of pollution with release of CO2, carbon oxide, and nitrogen oxide. The next one. So here you can see the transportation fuel per capita. So you can see here, United States consumes the most in very low price. And one of the reasons because in the United States, the taxes for gasoline and diesel are very low, very small in comparison to all the other countries. So you can see, for example, countries such as Japan pay a way higher price for the gasoline. Now Michelle is going to talk about the coal and its use.
Another source of energy that we use within the United States that needs to be decreased is coal. Coal is actually the largest domestically produced source of energy within the United States, and the majority of that coal, once it is produced, goes into generating electricity. About 39% of the United States electricity is generated from coal. The problem with coal, even though it is domestically produced, making it a very low risk as far as national security is concerned, it is very high in carbon dioxide emissions. Coal is actually one of the dirtiest fossil fuels. It is the dirtiest fossil fuel and emits the most sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides. What this graph shows is our energy consumption by fuel type. So it shows you all the fossil fuels and non-fossil fuel, and it shows that petroleum and natural gas are the two largest fuels consumed by the United States. It then converts this information into a carbon dioxide emission graph, which shows that coal and petroleum have the two largest emissions of carbon dioxide. Okay, because coal and petroleum have the two largest emissions of carbon dioxide, these are the two sources that we definitely need to reduce, and we've decided to replace them with biofuels and wind energy. The biofuel we have chosen is biodiesel, and we would like to replace petroleum-based diesel with biodiesel. And the good thing about biodiesel is that you're able to use biodiesel inside a diesel engine without any conversions or upgrades to the current engine you have if that engine was made after 1992. And you can use 100% biodiesel, or you can use a biodiesel blend. And the reason they give you those options sometimes is because biodiesel is more expensive than petroleum-based diesel. But when you make a blend, you can get the positive parts of biodiesel, such as it lubricates your engine better and it has a longer shelf life. You get those positives without the negative of the higher price of biodiesel. What we would like to do with wind energy is use wind turbines to generate electricity. And the way a wind turbine works is that it converts mechanical energy from the wind into electrical energy through a generator. And with these two sources, we believe that we'd be able to vastly decrease the amount of carbon dioxide emissions and increase our national security. The way we would go about implementing these new energy sources is first and foremost to make sure that we have alignment with government policy. So that would be including tax incentives and tax credits to businesses and individuals who use wind turbines or who use biofuels. And pretty much by making it a lucrative more lucrative for these people to use these renewable sources, we're more likely to get a better turnout and a larger majority of people who would actually be interested. What we also would like to do is to try and direct public opinion, and that would be through advertisements, just through making sure that we have the information out there that the way we are living currently is unsustainable, we're doing grave damage to the environment, and that we have to change, not for ourselves, but for future generations. And so by having that information out there, we can use public opinion to direct how the market flows. And finally, we need to continue in the current national direction of creating a more diversified energy portfolio. Currently, the United States is already slowly moving away from fossil fuels and moving towards a more diversified energy portfolio, be that wind energy, biofuels, nuclear energy, hydropower. All of those are already part of our energy portfolio. So if we continue in that direction of thinking more sustainably, we'll definitely be able to live more sustainably overall. So what this figure shows is installed wind capacity across the nation, and it actually shows that Texas has the largest wind capacity within the United States. And so you can see that the majority of the states already has wind capacity in it. There is a portion of the graph or of the country that is unable to utilize wind energy because they do not have wind speeds that would allow wind energy to be applicable. But with the use of batteries and with the use of power lines, we can actually generate energy in a state like Texas, store it in a battery, or use a transmission through a power line to send it to one of these states that does not use wind energy. What this figure shows is the biodiesel fuel stations across the country. And this also shows that in almost every state, there is at least one biodiesel fuel station. So if we can continue in this direction and make it even more easily accessible by putting a biodiesel pump in every single gas station across the nation, we would definitely improve and live more sustainably within the country. Next up, my colleague Joe will be talking about the cost effectiveness of these energy sources.
Thanks, Michelle, for the wonderful remarks. This graph just shows the cost analysis for wind turbine and also biodiesel energy. And the prices for one of those two alternatives, it does vary, and that's based on the sizes of the wind turbine. And for example, the average wind turbine costs between $10,000 to $7,000 per turbine. Also, the price of wind turbine over the past 10 years had decreased, and that's due to the fact that improved in technology and also advance in enhancement and also the operation. Also, as for example, if we notice over the past years also the average annual household consumption, it ranged around 11,280 kilowatt or about 940 kilowatt per month. And with that being said, that also the price of kilowatt in 2012, it's around 11.88 cent per kilowatt. And if we do our own evaluation, we can realize that the average household, it does consume or it does cost around $1,500 per kilowatt. With that being said, that if an individual can purchase a normal turbine with 50 kilowatt that costs around $40,000 within 29.9 years, you will be able to pay off for that. And also, as we said, that the life of the wind turbine it goes up to 50 years. Also, we can also see here that the prices of wind energy had declined over the past years, and based on the bar graph, we can see that the price per kilowatt it declined from 55 cents per kilowatt to below 10 cents per kilowatt, and that's due to the fact that improving technology, as we mentioned earlier. And on the other hand, the green line trend, it just depicts also the increase in the number of wind turbine that's been installed. And as you can see that within in 2000, the peak had just rise up rapidly, and that's due to the fact that the prices had declined and that everybody now is leaning to this new method of energy. On the other hand, as for diesel fuel. The price for diesel fuel, it does varies and does depend on the agriculture products, and as you know, that depend on the water that's being consumed and the land that is utilized to produce agriculture product for diesel energy. Finally, to enhance and to improve our practicality of using wind energy and biodiesel fuel, these are the following advantages of using one of the two. As for wind energy, it is a very clean source of energy, and that's due to the fact that it does not pollute the air, and unlike fossil fuel power plant that requires the use of or the combustion of fuel that causes emission and pollution in the air. Also, wind energy is very domestic source of energy. That means that the supply for wind is abundantly almost everywhere, unlike the other state that my colleague Michelle mentioned earlier. So wind, it's free and it's abundant, so it's almost reachable. On the other hand, also, wind power is cost effective. That means that it's very renewable and it has the lowest price of renewable technology over the past years. And it's also a very sustainable method of energy. Also, biodiesel fuel, it's also renewable and also very sustainable. And as you can see, biodiesel blend, it's almost used for any existing engine, whether it's an oil engine or a heating engine. It does not require any modification. It also has low emission, so it is not toxic and it does not release any toxic gases in the air. On the other hand, also it's biodegradable, and that's due to the fact that most of the material of biodiesel are made out of agriculture feedstocks. And finally, it is renewable, so we can never run out, and does depend on the amount of agriculture that we have or we used. With this, I conclude our presentation. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening.